Welcome to the live stream, you guys. Today I'm just going to take a look at Bitcoin on several different time frames, kind of start on some longer time frames and start working our way in as we typically like to do. Eventually go in some of my scalping strategies, which those of you who are here with me right now are very familiar with a couple of my favorite strategies at this point. But either way, we'll be watching some degen time frames, looking for that later, just see if we iron out a few things with the strategies and that kind of thing, because even though I've been using these indicators and these strategies for quite a while now, nothing is perfect, and I'm always open to the idea of fine-tuning a system and making it even better and more profitable. So yeah, just starting off things by looking at the 4-hour here. I believe last time I streamed, we were trading, I think we were testing this little yellow box here, and I had made the comment, or actually maybe, yeah, I think we were just starting to test it if I'm not mistaken. And I was saying that, as far as this micro swing goes, and I'm just talking from where we had this little, I'm going to call it a fake out pump, because we really just ended up pumping to the upside, retesting support as resistance and getting rejected from there. So basically from that point and just trending downwards, I was just kind of looking at this level since we got another little bounce up before breaking some of these lows here. I was looking at this yellow box as on the very micro trend. I mean, it is a 4-hour, but on the smaller swing of things, I was treating this yellow box as a bit of a lower high in this case. And again, that's only counting from here over, basically. But other than that, we also had this whole range I was talking about. I was really considering this whole, and I know it's a massive range, but that whole range I was considering support just because I don't really like to use a single trend line. I mean, I have it mapped out that way right now, but typically speaking, I really like using the whole wick as more of a support box. And to see that we came back and just retested that as support, and obviously we can take a look at some fibs. If I were a betting man, and I definitely am, I would say we made this pump, dropped our 382 Fibonacci line, came back down to our 786 to 886 Fibonacci pocket. That's just kind of what it's looking like at an eyeball to me here. And we just kind of found that support, dropped, found basically a perfect double bottom, very damn near, very close to a double bottom. I'm going to consider that fair game, but then got right back above this resistance here and even ended up flipping it into support. We came back down into this box and started trending to the upside again. So all things considered, I don't think Bitcoin's in too bad of a position as far as the midterm goes. I do have some concerns, basically from both sides here. Like I was already talking about, I mean, the fact that we ended up dropping, that's a very serious, well, two very serious lines, diagonal lines of support. We tested these lines several times and ended up breaking it, flipping into perfect resistance. I mean, that's just perfect technical analysis right there. I know the Moon Boys were coming out when we were just absolutely pumping up there. I believe that was on a Friday that I recall that happening, and just shut right back down. But the fact that we never saw a very harsh correction, we never just lost those lows right away. We just kind of formed this double bottom here. Not so bad in my opinion. I do think that no matter which way you look at it, Bitcoin has a lot of work to do right now. I can bring up the ALGO 3, and I mean, we just see a ton of supply zones up here on the 4-hour. Just a whole bunch of resistance here. What I do like, and you guys will be familiar with this, is we're starting to see some signals trending to the upside, so we may be seeing a bit of a pivot. We had this high on our we got a little flip-floppy in here, but we were setting lower high W's here. And from there, we actually ended up getting higher highs. So this is just a bit of a warning that, hey, this sell-off that I was expecting, basically we did get a very small one here after we got what is my favorite signal, is whichever way these W's are trending, basically. The fact that we had these two lows, we set a low and a lower low, and then when we saw the lower high come into play, I mean, that was just a perfect signal for a sell. And obviously it didn't last long, but it absolutely did get a nice little breakdown there. What kind of percentage are we looking at? Because that wasn't valid until the candle close. but we did get, well, almost a 4% move. So with a little leverage, I mean, that was a decent little dump to the downside there. But then we got this warning. And I'm going to say that just recently we've got this warning. This isn't necessarily a buy signal yet, but we are seeing that the indicator is suggesting we may start trending to the upside here. With these little house shapes here, these are regular divergences on the ALGO 3. So to see the W's as well as those on the top side all trending to the upside, what I would really like to see from a bullish stance would be, some kind of a pullback and then just seeing a higher low W come into play. If we get that sort of a setup, that's where I'll be very keen on finding just scalping more to the long side, just using a much heavier bias to the bullish side. If we see that, you guys are all very well informed that I am more of a degen. I like the shorter time frames, but it's still important to have an overall view of the market. So that's where I like to see these things on longer time frames, like a 4-hour, for example. And if I see that bullish W come in, that's where I'm going to start looking for that type of setup with the higher trending Ws and that sort of thing with the algo on shorter time frames, like the 1 minute and stuff like that. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look at the daily, just see what we can find here. One thing, okay, so now we have to look at the other side. Like I said, there's a few things from a few different angles we have to look at today, because we do have warnings going both directions. I'm seeing bullish points. I mean, the fact that we had this high, and although it was a bit of a failed break, we did have a higher high. This would have been the lowest point between the two, so this was our confirmed higher low with this trend to the upside. So even though we broke this diagonal support, we did come back down and retest that level perfectly. So, I mean, this is support until it's not, right, guys? I mean, support is support until it's broken. So, yeah, although things don't look great, we are still holding that structure. So things don't necessarily look all too bad. Something that I am a little bit concerned about would be going back to my W strategy. There is a W behind this little house shape here. There is the orange dot there. We're just covering up the W. But this is one of those cases where we may actually see a reversal here, where all of a sudden we have a high here and we now are setting a lower high. Now, the thing to remember with this is I do definitely prefer when we have both sides lining up with each other. So we never did what I would like to see in that case for a short signal. I would love to see something like, a W here and then just a slightly lower W, so that we would have these trending to the downside, then have our tops trend to the downside. And when you get that lower high, that's your sell signal. So we don't really have all of this lining up together perfectly. So, I mean, there's just a little bit of added risk there if you are looking to short this. But, I mean, again, there is obviously some strong supply zones here on the daily as well. You can see that we had one here, and then we actually formed a second one in there. So we have that brighter red supply zone there. That's a very serious level of resistance. And even if we do get some kind of a rally from here, I would definitely be cautious, you guys, because we have some very strong resistance up ahead. Not only this supply zone there, but that would line up very well with this upward sloping diagonal resistance. Now was once strong support, now strong resistance. So yeah, those are a few things that we have to watch for right now. Another thing I wanted to bring up was Fibonacci's, actually. Just looking for, if we do get some kind of a rally right now, what are some other ways we can look for some targets? So let's just look for rejection Fibonacci's. You guys know I love the 786 and 886 Fibonacci levels. That would actually be the pocket right between these supply zones. So, I mean, as far as Fibonacci's go, these supply zones go, I mean, we have strong resistance here. We have a little bit of resistance up here as well. We have my favorite Fibonacci pocket perfectly between the two. I mean, there's just a lot of things to be cautious of with Bitcoin right now. But again, we're starting to see on shorter time frames that, things may be reversing a little bit. And that's where I really like to, as I was saying, when we see these highs start to trend to the upside, yes, we don't have that that buy signal yet with a higher low. But we do just have this early warning on the 4-hour chart suggesting that, maybe this rally is going to have a little bit of jam to it. But yeah, let's just start zooming in a little bit. Actually, before I zoom in, I want to take a look at the weekly as well. Something that I've been talking about for quite a while has been that, we had this low, lower high here. I've now outlined this box in green because I'm looking at that macro resistance to hopefully flip into support for Bitcoin. And I mean, so far, you guys, that's absolutely what we're seeing. We broke above this box, and on that candle close, we have this buy signal on the weekly time frame. That's not something to laugh at. Those are quite strong signals. The buy signals typically stronger than the sell signals on the weekly chart with the ALGO 3. To go with that, I obviously have my candles inverted. We have bright green candles coming into play right along this support box. Let's see what the other indicators are saying here. The oscillator 5 and 4, I guess they have different names now, but they're both kind of in no man's land right now. We had this hidden bullish divergence on both of them earlier, but I mean, that move may have already played out. So kind of in no man's land right there. But as long as we hold this support box, I think that Bitcoin's actually in a fairly good place as far as the long term goes. It's more the midterm that I'm, a little bit flip-floppy on right now, but let's just start dialing her in. Let's hop over to the 1-hour chart, see if we can see anything with the indicators here. Right off the bat, I'm noticing this bullish divergence. That's actually nice to see as far as the 1 hour goes. You can see we had a W, a higher W, and then a higher divergence there. And as well, on the bottom side, we did set this low and then a higher low. So this is one of those cases where we do actually have the indicators trending to the upside. And so, I mean, although, again, guys, we just have to be a little bit cautious. We're seeing these supply zones right here. So this is a good signal. I really like to see this. And I am in a long position already. You can see my dotted line here. That's from a shorter time frame, obviously. But I am actually favoring the bullish side a little bit right now. And that was mainly because of this warning we had on the 4 hour. I'm still open to the idea that we could absolutely just, find resistance here and just nuke to the downside, maybe even set new lows, in which case I'm definitely going to be trying to catch those, just again, looking at shorter time frames, looking at my favorite strategies, seeing what I can kind of scalp out of it. Because the way I like to do things is, yes, even though I'm on the 1 minute, I generally have an idea what the 5 minute is doing as well as what the 1 hour is doing because of my trend 1 and trend 2 with the indicators. That's just, I just really like to zoom in, dial right in so I can use some ridiculous leverage, which nobody should do. This is obviously not financial advice. But I just like to use high leverage, quick scalps in and out. Or at least, I shouldn't say in and out because I really do love to hold on to a winning trade if I can, but I'm very quick to take off at least a quarter of my position, if not half. I've found myself recently being very quick to take half my position off the table and then just letting the rest run. So here, I actually got a nice little scalp here. Just took it. Even though the W's weren't perfect here, we ended up breaking, let me just show, we ended up breaking this high here, came back down, and I just happened to catch the bottom of this little pullback perfectly. That was just kind of, I was looking at laddering in if we would have came down a little bit lower, but I never did get that, so I ended up closing half my this time was only a quarter of my position, and it was after we tested this 1 hour trend basically, because we did have this bearish cross here. And that's something I take quite serious with these indicators because the 1 hour trend would be my other favorite scalping tool, basically. Especially when you see I was really considering hedging a short when I saw this signal, just because we got above that 1 hour trend and came right back down. At this point, I was really starting to consider hedging a short. I never did end up taking it. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm kind of favoring the bullish side, even though we did have that bearish cross. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. It looks like we're not getting a very harsh rejection, at least. I mean, we were very quick to flip to bright green candles again. As well, the oscillator 4, we started getting bullish divergences, bullish pivot point. The oscillator 5 down here, just a bunch of bullish divergences very quickly after seeing this pullback from the 1 hour trend. So, yeah, that's it's not looking so bad to me at this point. I think if we end up closing candles below this low that we've set back here, I think if we end up trading down into this range, I'm just going to end up taking the rest of my profits and just looking for a different position at that point. But we're just going to see what happens there. How are things looking here? So we're seeing that these may start trending to the upside again. This reversal warning, we've already broken higher than it. So this is looking like a bit of a failed signal to me. Thump, I know you were talking about when you get those failed signals. So obviously we never got that reversal. We traded to the upside. So if we get some kind of a pullback and then get some sort of a buy signal, so whether that's a high or low W or one of these bullish, I know this is a bearish one, let's say bullish divergence here, if we get something like that showing up, that may actually be a nice entry. Just because we're seeing the warnings that we might start trending to the upside again here. Oh, I didn't even realize Max was in here for a little bit there. But yeah, it's probably pretty late for him. I assume it's like 3 in the morning or something like that. Anyone have any strong opinions on the market? I know Stock Poker, you had mentioned that you're short. Are you still in the process of building your short? Did you take one prior? I know you use a lot more reasonable leverage than myself, so you can obviously ladder in a little bit more. Nicholas, I'm assuming you haven't really been trading much because you've been busy as hell. Thump, I know you're always trading up a storm. You're, as we went over last stream, you're more of a degenerate than myself, being on the 1 second, the 5 second, and I'm still jealous. But like I said, I think I'm going to have to up my trading view plan once winter rolls through. And like I said, our season's starting to change. Our leaves are changing. It's starting to get cold at night, so it's only a matter of time till I'm back into hibernation mode. Just trying to lick the plate clean on summer right now, so... Oh, building a short. Nice, nice. Oh, here we go. What's the indicator here saying on the 1 minute? Trying to form a little bottom here. I've changed my tops and bottom signals from blue just because they were hard to see. I just made them white. But these signals aren't valid until the next candle closes. So that'll be... we'll see how this candle here closes. And again, obviously it's a 1 minute, so... I mean, take it for what it is, but just nice to see that from a bullish perspective. Nice to see that we're back above the 5 minute trend as well. That would be this green one down here. As well, lining up quite nicely with the little demand zone here. Bigger demand zone below it. So there is a little bit of support going for us on the micro trend here so far. I really wouldn't want to see us dump much below this at this point. Just because we have this high and now we're setting a higher high kind of a thing. This would be our higher low just from this little trend here. But like I said, I'm actually going to update the rest of my stop loss to just, I'm going to go just below this wick back here. My reasoning for that is just to give a little wiggle room for a little bit of a fake out below this low here. And what I like to do is basically the nearest pivot point since that, and that would be down here. So I'm going to update the rest of my stop loss to just below 27K. And that's entered from back here earlier, but that's kind of what I'm looking at for now. We are starting to get some bearish signals here. Oscillator 4 up here, bearish pivot, although the bands are still spreading. Big red dot here. What's the ALGO 3 saying? So we might see a little bit of a pullback, but really it is looking like we have decent support below us right now for the 1 minute. Has anyone been trading altcoins lately? I know in our last stream we were looking at this TRB. I don't even know what it is. Oh, I see it's just got a bullish cross here. That's actually interesting. So this is the 5-minute chart. You can see that we have the W's giving us a little bit of a warning there. I would actually, these signals were all beautiful. But I would like to see another higher low come into play. Especially after we get a bullish cross like this. That thing has just had so much momentum. TRB lately, let's just zoom out to the 4-hour chart. It's gone absolutely nuts. Well, Bitcoin basically just trades sideways. What kind of a pump are we looking at here? Almost 400%. That's absolutely huge. I notice I have the Trendmaster indicators up on my other chart here. I haven't played around with them too much, mostly because I was busy this weekend. Like I said, I was out paddling down the river. I didn't even have phone reception or anything, so I wasn't playing around on the charts all too much. But I know we were starting to look at these indicators a little bit on my last stream. On the longer time frames, like the 4-hour plus, it seems like this core trend is just so strong. It can carry so much momentum when it starts turning into a trending market like that. And to see this coin once again, I mean, it flipped bearish very briefly and flipped right back to support. I mean, this thing might just carry on. It might just still have legs left. Oh, Thumbcase, you've been watching this one too? Yeah, you were in my last stream when we were looking at it a little bit and how volatile it's been. Oh, stick the bands on. Yes, that's something I was meaning to do. I'm much slower at setting this one up. Trendmaster. There we go. Man, that's beautiful. Just beautiful colors, just like the MDX ALGO indicators. What made me first fall in love with them. Yeah, me too, Thump. I traded TRB twice, I believe. I took one short at the end of my last stream, which was stopped out in a small loss, and then I did what every degenerate likes to do and revenge traded it, and I shorted it, and I drove and grabbed some fast food at the drive-thru 2 blocks away and came back and I was up like 140% or something, so I closed it and I haven't touched it since. But yeah, just like you said, it's so volatile, it's a little bit scary to trade. And honestly, Bitcoin's been fairly volatile lately, and I just feel confident using ridiculously high leverage with it. I was trading Solana quite a bit the last few weeks as well, but Bitcoin's been treating me good lately, so I wanna just gonna stick with that for now. Also, when I'm busy, I don't like to be flip-flopping between a bunch of charts because then I forget what positions I'm in, just forget what I was watching in general. So I like to kind of stick to one coin at a time if I can, unless I'm not that busy and I do have a lot of downtime hanging out at my house, at my computer, in the office. Then, you know, then I don't mind checking out many different charts. But for the most part, I've been trading Bitcoin again lately. Seeing more of these divergences are just climbing, hey? So we don't have a higher W yet, but... And this is something that I touched on in my last stream with these indicators, is I assume you can kind of use many different signals for spotting a trend like that. Like I've been using the reversal warnings, which is the W's, but I'm sure you could use the long signals, the short signals, the divergence signals. If you notice which way they are trending, that can be very helpful in just helping you point out a trend, point out which way you should be trading. Or like me, if I'm scalping, it's nice to kind of know which direction I should be looking for a scalp, right? Now we have to use our imagination a little bit. For whatever reason, this version of the Algo 3 has a bit of lag on the 1 hour trend. So I've just been mapping out, just kind of eyeballing where I think it will be, because we're very close, obviously. But it's looking to me like we're getting very close to retesting that 1 hour trend again. So as you guys know, that's another one of my favorite signals, basically one of my favorite things to play off. So I mean, if we end up testing this 1 hour trend and getting a W, something like that, even with a little bit of a fake out, I would consider closing more of my long position, probably another quarter. So I would leave just half of the original running if that's the case. V, I'm just gonna server mute you just because I'm getting some background noise for you. But if you want to hop on the mic at any time, just let me know in the chat and I'll unmute you for sure. No big deal. Yeah. Other than that, guys, I'm just kind of. I went over what I was looking at on the longer time frames. Does anyone have any questions? Anything you want me to clarify? Anything that you strongly agree with, strongly disagree with what I've been talking about? I mean, like I said, we're kind of at an interesting point right now. I absolutely see reason why we could be bearish when I'm looking at, the 4 hour or the daily chart kind of a thing. Just because we broke such strong structure on that diagonal trend. But really looking at the weekly, like I said, the fact that we flipped this resistance, this lower high on a macro trend, flipping that resistance into support like this, that's got my attention. Plus, with a weekly buy signal, I know the signals aren't going to be right every time, but historically speaking, there's been a lot of beautiful buy signals on the weekly chart. From the looks of it, obviously they play out better than the sell signals for the most part. So the fact that we got this, and yeah, you know what? This is a weekly chart. It's going to take a long time to play out. This was several months ago that we got this signal. So it's just something to consider there, you guys. These boxes, like the supply and demand zones here, the red and green boxes, yeah, just a little extra confluence. Sometimes I just, and exactly, just seeing confluence in those boxes, right? As anything, we're just kind of adding as many bits of confluence to our decision as we can. Quite often I don't even have these boxes up, but lately I have been using them just as a second set of eyes for, support and resistance zones. But yeah, if I can see, a great example would be, let's just say theoretically, let's see if I can find one. I hate to do the Captain Hindsight thing. Oh, I guess those zones would already be gone once they are invalidated. But basically, if we could see, let's just pretend, this is going to be pretend right now, but let's say we had a reversal warning right along here, and then we end up getting a pullback and seeing, let's say, a slightly higher W, and it's also on one of those demand zones. That just gives me a little more confidence in my decision to take that long signal, basically. Because, it's quite a simple strategy that I always talk about with which way those the signals are trending, basically, but there is a little bit more to it and a little bit of a sixth sense. I was talking about looking for a long play based on a higher low W yesterday in the charts on the 1 minute, but then I quickly clarified that I didn't like the way we set it. So we basically had something like this where we let's even make it more drastic here just for the hell of it. But let's just say I had a W down here and I was looking for a higher low W on a pullback, but we never really had a controlled pullback to that level and then getting that reversal. We just saw one of these basically and then a reversal warning, just showing that there was so much I guess just such a quick move and so much momentum leading into that signal, I didn't end up taking it. So there is a little bit more to it. Like I said, a little bit of a feel for it, looking for other factors to provide confluence and that sort of thing. But the trending W's, which way they're trending, has become such a strong factor in which way I'm trading. I really don't like to trade against it anymore. And if I do, I usually regret it. Usually when I lose scalps, it's because I'm impatient. I don't wait for the signal that I wanted, and I just YOLO it without looking for that signal, or just thinking that I know better. Oh, the structure is telling me it should be bullish, even though the W's are trending against what I'm thinking. It's absolutely possible that the direction of the W's is wrong. Just like any indication, any signal, anything like that, it's not perfect. But I find that quite often when I do lose my trades, it is because I am not paying attention or just totally ignoring that little bit of confluence. So it's become a very powerful, decision-making tool. And that's why right now I'm I would love to see a higher W come into play. I don't think I'll add to my position. You know what? I would consider it because I'll be able to bump my stop loss. Like I said, I would have it just below 27K. I usually like to go a few bucks below, something like 26,994 or 993, somewhere in there is where I never did update my stop loss. I should do that, shouldn't I? But I would consider adding to my position with the proper setup because I can still keep and I already took a little bit of profits and I can update my stop loss. So that's either in a small profit or at break even, just so that I won't lose on my position. I can add to it. And the only thing that would happen in that case would be I would be eating into my profits if it went against me. But sometimes I like to do that, especially if we can, in a trending market, when you see the 1 hour start trending and you just start testing it and retesting it and retesting it and getting W's along it the whole way. That can turn into such a powerful tool, that 1 hour trend. Honestly, even the 5-minute trend, just basically, these tools are obviously better in a trending market. If it's choppy, yes, you might flip-flop around these moving averages quite a bit. But when you get into a trending market and you can just keep entering on the same signal over and over on your position, taking profits along the way, adding back into it on the same signal, that can turn into such a powerful position, and it's stress-free because your stop loss is always in a bit of a profit. I just absolutely love when that happens. If we see us flip this 5-minute, let's say we flip it again, 5-minute comes like this, price kind of goes like this, ends up retesting, and we have both the 5-minute and the 1 hour fairly close together, and then we see a bearish reversal warning, I would consider opening a head short at that point. For now, I'm just going to wait. But if we have both these trends lining up, and then we get that reversal warning after testing them, I would definitely consider opening a head short. Oh, look at this little supply zone making something for itself. If I really want to microanalyze things, we got this high here, and then we actually ended up breaking it. We could look at this level as our higher low on this very immediate trend, but I mean, that's getting very, very degenerate. You guys know I love doing that. We will make that yellow. I'm not going to short if we break it, but it's definitely something to consider that we might see a bit of a pullback if we break that. Just map out a few levels that I think are going to be important. Trying to form a top, but really struggling. The bulls are really trying. We do have this this moving average cloud below us as well on the 1 minute still. So there is, as far as the degen timeframes go, we do have some support. But again, just be cautious, guys. That 1 hour trend's nothing to ignore. That was honestly the 1 hour trend, and finding positions off the retests of that was by far my favorite trading strategy until I started developing this one with the reversal warnings, and I would still say it's my favorite. The reversal warnings is definitely a close second. I find I can scalp a lot more with the W strategy, but as far as when you enter on these 1 hour trend retests, like even this, like I was saying, I was tempted to take a head short when we got this signal and broke back down below the 1 hour trend here. I was very tempted to hedge a short here, and I could have had such a tight stop loss, right? And that's the beauty of taking the retests of this, is, you know, you get your one initial pump out, you get your fake out, whatever, pull back down, you now have a reference point for a stop loss, right? So I would give it some wiggle room, but at least you have a ballpark of where you're going to want your stop losses, at least above that level. And I've got into some great positions like that because I've been able to have such a tight stop loss and get a fairly nice swings out of such a setup. Like I said, right now I am actually leaning a little bit bullish, so I'm not as keen on taking that right now. But I have got into some very nice positions doing that, where I've had, let's say, I think last stream I was talking about the one trade I made where basically when we got this little dump here, that one weekly dump there, which happened in like a few hours, I'm pretty sure. I think I had my stop loss on a short there, a 69x short. I was looking at the 1 minute and my stop loss was like within $30 or something, and I caught a $4,000 move with it. So that's just one of those times that, you know, the risk reward of that signal. So you don't even have to be right half the time, which quite often it is a great signal. Obviously, you would have had plenty of opportunities here to end up taking some profits on that position. But just the risk reward on that setup can be such a powerful thing. Further out, how do the higher highs and lows look? I was looking at the 4 hour, or I guess I was looking at the signal higher highs and higher lows. I'm just going to remove all my drawings. You know, I was thinking that we'd get this higher high, and we would have this higher low here. But that, I don't know how much credit I want to give that. Because if we look at that, I mean, I guess technically we had these candles closing above, but this whole mess here was just a little bit ugly. Just a little bit messy. It wasn't a clean close above. We got a wick above, and then we failed to close above that wick. Just looks a little bit weak there, so I don't know if I want to consider that at this point. I think I would be more comfortable considering this more of our higher low currently on the trend. Obviously, we had kind of this area as our higher high. This would be the lowest point between the two, so our higher low there. So I think as long as we can stay above that, the price is in pretty good hands. We do also have this big-ass support cloud below us. We have a big demand zone below us, another demand zone below that. Yeah, there's a few things going for Bitcoin right now. I don't want to rule out a bigger pump here. What are we looking at for fibs, actually? As far as where we topped out back here, pulled down to our lows. Notice we perfectly tested the 786. Like I said, this is my favorite Fibonacci pocket, both for support and resistance. And I mean, even if we do blast through this, it's obviously a very important level for the market. Obviously, there was a lot of hesitation there. 3 different 4-hour candles kind of testing that absolutely perfectly. So definitely a strong level for the market there. It's not really selling off super strong either, so I don't know. I'm seeing some strength from the bulls. In my opinion, I am seeing a little bit of strength. Let's see if we can find any diagonal trend lines. Since the theme is wedges, let's see diagonal trend lines. You can see we did get one candle body closing below that, but let me just change that slightly. Oh. We have 1, 2, 3 touch points, then a close below, but we're not really seeing a harsh rejection yet. So if we can get this 4-hour, well, this 4-hour candle is about to close. If it can close above this red line, maybe we'll just see it retested on a shorter time frame. What are we looking at? It's pretty messy on a 1-minute chart. Not gonna lie, but I would love to. I guess we did respect it quite well. This area here, a little bit of resistance. When we broke it, pumped right up. If we could see us form a little bit of support along this, that would be great. But like I said, it's messy. I don't know how much credit I want to give that line at this point. Let's zoom out a little bit. Pull up some random fibs here. Oh, look at that. Once again, the 786 got retested on this little pump here. Pull back 786. If we go back even further, because this is the level I was kind of watching as that higher low. So if we take this swing here and just looking at some Fibonacci's, we held the 618 real nice. After we... Oh, never mind. Actually, this would have been slightly different. Let me just adjust this. We would have only been here at that point. But either way, still same thing. Barely moves the fib lines. 618, we came back down to that level, formed a little double bottom, and just blasted off again. So, still respecting some main Fibonacci's. That's nice to see. Where was that line? I was looking at this line here. So, I mean, yeah, we're going to have to see how much importance that played on this little 1-minute trend here. Again, I'm not willing to take a short right now. I'm only interested in taking a short. Oh, what's this? So we do have these trending to the upside. We do technically have both trending to the upside if this closes like this. I don't like how this wasn't actually the pivot point. Again, maybe it's just me being picky, but it's just not super clean. But it is nice to see that these W's may be starting to trend to the upside again here. It did get that close too, right off the bottom of that moving average cloud. I still think there's absolutely a possibility that we end up coming down a little further and test these support boxes. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really interested in shorting until I would want to see the 5-minute trend flip red again and still be below the 1 hour trend. In that case, we start seeing lower high W's come into play, and I'll be more interested in hedging a short or just taking a short if I'm stopped out of my long by that point. But as it stands right now, like I said, I'm still leaning bullish, cautiously bullish, because again, that 1 hour trend, I can't ignore that. Which is why, as I mentioned, I did close a quarter of my position when we came up to these levels. Asia opening right away. Yeah, 4 more minutes or so. Anyone watch Little Jimmy? Are you talking about what's his name? I can't remember his name. Sato. You like to look at the last touch point on a trend. If it's a false break, it's usually going back. If it holds below or above, it's usually going in the opposite direction. Yes. This would be a perfect example, actually. Even though it was short-lived, you can see that it was one of those times where we just had that signal, testing the trend, and then carrying on. Here would have been a better example because we actually got some other signals warning you to take some profits before it reversed there. This is all capped in hindsight, obviously, but just look at this. This is what I mean by when you see a trending market, this can be so strong. We just see higher W's coming into play, and every one of them would have been a good scalp opportunity. They're not home run trades, but again, we're looking at the 1 minute charts, right? So you're not entering a scalp on a 1 minute chart and looking for the type of move you'd get out of a 4 hour, right? So that's where just seeing which way these W's are trending can be such a powerful thing. And then really, this is kind of where we got our warning that things might be changing directions, right? And what do you know? As soon as the next top signal came into play, that was, I mean, we never had a lower high, but either way, this was a beautiful signal if you were just looking at the fact that these W's were starting to trend to the downside again. Next signal that came into play there was an absolutely beautiful short opportunity. I didn't catch that, and this is, again, just capped in hindsight, but that's just kind of an example of how this strategy works, right? Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this one since this wasn't actually the pivot, but something to watch for. Also, when I use this strategy, like I said, I guess my position isn't showing here anymore. Where was it? Well, it was somewhere in there. I'll bring up my phone and check what my actual entry was. But either way, I'm not going to be adding to this yet. But this is one of those times where, if I was entering based on this this signal here, I would have my stop loss below the previous W, right? Because if that's the strategy I'm using, I'm looking for the higher W. I'm not considering it invalidated until I drop the previous signal. And obviously a little bit of wiggle room, so below the local lows here. Again, this one's messy. I don't know how I feel about that one. Not confident enough to add to my position, but definitely willing to keep my position open. And like I said, stop loss is just below 27K now. So, holy, we're filling up in here. Just noticed a few new people in here. Well, familiar people, but new for the day. What was that entry? 935. 935.3. There we go. Does anyone else have... oh, I see I have a few messages I gotta catch up on. Is that W lower than the divergence? This one here, actually, that's a good point. That's an excellent point, is I think there's actually a W hidden behind that divergence, which is one of the reasons why I don't typically have those on, actually. I'm going to turn those off here. Because I think there's a warning there that things... Oh, no, maybe not. Never mind. But yes, this W was lower than the divergence that was there. So a bit of a warning sign there, but the W's on the bottom weren't lining up with it either, right? So generally speaking, like I said, I like to see the tops and bottoms trending the same direction when taking an entry. See, I'd actually, if we get this W, rather than being bullish, I'd actually be cautious, just because we're starting to see them possibly trending to the downside here. This is where, okay, we have W's trending to the downside here. If we set a lower high W, something like here, maybe just a little bit, let's say down there, another W there, I'd actually consider scalping a hedge short if we get that. I'm still probably going to wait until we flip the 5-minute trend red, though. I would rather see this 5-minute trend form something like this. Oops. And then see the price do more something like this, and then get that W. That way we would have the 1 hour trend, the 5-minute trend, both bearish, and we would have lower trending W's on both sides. That's an ideal setup for my strategy. Not so sure we're going to get it during this stream, obviously, but that's the ideal scenario. And obviously you would hope the other indicators agree with that. Just trying to find all the confluence we can, right, guys? Yeah, does anyone... I'm not going to stick around too much longer, just because I don't know if much else is going to happen in the charts here today. Usually lately the Asia session has been kind of boring. Seems like in the middle of the night for me. So let's say 10 hours from now, I feel that's when the market really starts heating up. It seems like it's a kind of a couple hours before I wake up. I check my phone when I'm up and notice that I missed some kind of a big move. And by big, I mean on smaller time frames, obviously, but yeah, does anyone have any last minute questions, clarification on anything, either the way I look at charts, the way I look at these signals, want me to look at altcoins, any questions in general? Other than that, I'm probably going to log out fairly soon here. Huge. Oh, you bet, Jeff. I'm glad you made it again. I know it's late for you. I'm really curious to see if we are going to get this harsh rejection, like, you know, that we have tested the 1 hour trend, all of a sudden we're going to dump to the downside, or if the bulls are able to hold their ground. Because yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I am leaning a little bit bullish. My main takeaway, or the main takeaway from this stream, I suppose, is just be cautious, you guys. I'm definitely seeing I'm really seeing either option right now. I mean, I think we're at a very important level right now because I'm personally leaning bullish, but we are trading into resistance. So you always have to consider that. And it's quite natural to feel bullish at resistance. We are starting to see some warnings. Like I said, we have the W's trending to the upside on the top. We also have this hidden bullish divergence, which is quite often a continuation of a trend. So to see that popping up on this indicator up here is nice to see, to go with that as well. But like I said, I would really like to see a higher low W come into play at some point here. And at that point, I will be definitely heavily favoring the bullish side of trading at that point. Right now, I'm kind of uncertain, more so taking smaller scalps at this point. But when we get that, I think I'll be looking aggressively on the shorter time frames for the same types of setup, basically, because you guys know I'm not going to enter a trade on the 4 hour and hold it for any amount of time. So it's more so just looking at the longer time frame, getting the signal I want, then finding that same signal on the shorter time frames, basically, and entering scalps and hoping they turn into runners, kind of a thing. That way, at least I am taking profits on my scalp positions, but I'm also open to the idea of holding a chunk of my position open so that if it does turn into a home run trade, then at least you still have some skin in the game. So that's kind of the thought process there. Oh, nice. Busy guy, Nicholas. I really like to keep half my position running in case it runs. Like I said, I'm quick to close either a quarter or half my position, and then just kind of based by feel at that point. If I see signals that make me want to short, for example, then I would just more so be looking to take more profits off the table, kind of a thing. But yeah, very quick to take at least a quarter of my position, if not half, and then let the rest run. And like I said, if I see the ideal setup come in where I can still have a nice loose stop loss in a profit, then I don't mind adding back into my position either, if all the stars align, kind of a thing. See, this is a good example of just, you see these bullish reversals coming into play, but they are still technically trending to the downside, so they are still risky here. How do I take profits after I sell half? That's just basically however I'm feeling on the market. Like I said, if all of a sudden, let's say I'm in a long and we test another moving average, or we see the W's start trending to the downside again or something like that, I'll just kind of start nickel and diming off my position, just closing another 10% here and there. Really depends how I'm feeling at the time. You guys, I am going to wrap up the stream, but I am going to still be here with you guys. If you got nothing going on, you still just want to chat crypto, chat in general, I will be right back. I'm going to wrap up the stream though, but like I said, I will be back with you guys here. So, just a few things to touch on, my friends. I know I didn't mention it this stream yet, but I mentioned it last stream. I'm excited to say that I'm actually now an official affiliate partner with MEXC, where I've been trading for several months now. As a Canadian like myself, there's no KYC on sign up, which is perfect because exchanges have been constantly kicking me off lately. They have a ton of altcoins, ridiculous amounts of leverage. There's a referral link I will post in below in my YouTube channel. There's a referral link. Especially for my first month, you guys, there's crazy trading bonuses that they are giving to my followers. On deposit worth up to $20,000. Obviously, you have to deposit a large amount of money to get something like that. They obviously really appreciate whales coming to their exchange. But there's great trading bonuses, and as well, you get a 10% discount on already very low trading fees for life. And other than that, guys, if you are watching this video later on this stream, a little later on my YouTube channel, and you did appreciate this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to access these beautiful indicators, as well as being a part of these live streams and other live coaching events put on by myself and others in MDX Crypto's VIP Discord, there's also a 15% discount referral link down below to join that as well. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.